with your more like service-based business, I think you will need to understand, like, almost put a price to your time at that point, because it's a very different type of marketing, and understand what you would feel comfortable at, and like, in order to determine your costs for that. And then based off of that, you can say, like, okay, you want to be within this certain profit margin for you to be healthy and kind of continue this growth. And okay, let's say that's like a 50% more profit margin, then you can allocate a budget based off of that.
Welcome to the Side Hustler Podcast, the podcast for women building their dreams while balancing work, family, and all the things. I'm your host, Carly LeBlanc, a wife, mom, marketer, and your side hustling friend, here to teach you how to grow a brand that works for you and not the other way around. Whether you're a side hustling pro or just starting out, this is your safe place for real talk, actionable strategies, and the encouragement you need to keep going. We're here to help you make progress and not perfection. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's build your dream one step at a time. Hey there, welcome back to the Side Hustler Podcast. I'm your host, Carly LeBlanc, and I'm so excited that you have joined me today for this episode, because we are going to be diving into all things ads, okay? Today's episode is for the entrepreneur who has ever thought, should I be running ads for my business? And today we're going to be getting all the way into that. In this episode, I am joined by my friend, Emma Atlas, who is the founder of Atlas 28, a B2C ads agency and meta partner who helps product-based businesses market and sell their products through strategic meta ads. We originally connected on IG probably almost a year ago when I was actually searching for someone to help me run ads for one of my clients. And let me just say, Emma knows her stuff, okay? So in this episode, we are going to be diving into the real difference between boosted posts and actual Facebook ads, how you can calculate your client acquisition costs, what's needed to be in place before you even think about running ads, and why followers don't actually equal sales. So if you've ever thought about running an ad for your product-based business or even your service-based business, and you want to be, or you're curious about how to set up your next campaign, or even how to make your next campaign actually convert, then this episode is going to be for you. So let's get into it. Before we dive into today's episode, I have something special for all of my side hustlers out there. Are you building a business while working a 9-to-5 and you're tired of wasting time on marketing strategies that don't actually move the needle? Then you're going to want to get plugged into my weekly newsletter. Every single week, I'm giving you the real behind the scenes scoop on what's actually working in marketing and business. No fluff, no gatekeeping, just real strategies, insights I'm testing in my own business, and practical tips that you can apply right away. If you want to work smarter and not harder and finally start seeing momentum, then head over to cdcreativecoagency.com/newsletter and get locked in. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Well, hello, Emma, and welcome to the Side Hustler Podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here. So me and Emma actually connected probably a couple months ago. I think it was like at the end of 2024. I was really looking to tap into somebody to help me with some ads for one of my clients. And we were able to connect via Instagram, and we stayed connected because Emma just does amazing work. And I think like after we had connected was when like all of these things just started happening for you, especially like even with you being a meta partner. That was huge. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. It must be your magic luck that everything was off after we met.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast so we can talk all things about ads ads. I know that there are so many people that are listening that want to understand like how they can market themselves online or even just make a bigger impact in their brand with utilizing Meta ads and all of the things. So I wanted to bring you on here so you could just drop some gems and share all of the knowledge, all of the teas regarding ads. So I want you to take us back to when you first began. Like, what inspired you to start a business as such? I know that you are a D2C ad agency owner. And so explain to us what that is, because a lot of people may not even know. But then also, how did you get started with this type of business model?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to share and I'm hopefully help a lot of brands who are kind of in those early stages and figuring out if ads is for them. But my journey into entrepreneurship in the ad space was very, say, untraditional. I hear a lot of fellow agency owners say that they used to work on the agency side or the brand side, and then from there created their own agency. That was not the case for me. I started right from school and knew basically nothing about the business world, just kind of dove head in. And I was also always interested in the behind the scenes of running a business. I was always intrigued by marketing. I did some social media work for a nonprofit, so that kind of also inspired me a little bit. So I got started just like head deep learning everything I can. I don't know if you had a moment like that, but I was like looking YouTube courses, content podcasts, like these ones super helpful for people starting out, books, everything. And then got started with organic social media. So initially it was social media management, learning everything on the organic side, which is super complementary to ads. So I think it was a great place of to start out.
Yeah.
And then from there, I realized a lot of brands are struggling with their ads and don't have a clue about what's going on and are also really struggling with now creative strategy, which has become a lot bigger of an issue. So that's where we kind of pivoted into that ad space. And the direct to consumer side was just something that always really interested in me.
Yeah.
Speaking direct to consumer, speaking direct to the client. And that's kind of where the DC side formed.
Yeah.
Now it's a big part of what I want to do is being the extension of the team and not an agency. I get a lot of bad rep. So a big part is kind of being there within the team and within the brand.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it's so funny how you say you started as social media management. I feel like that's how typically a lot of people started. Because even myself, I started as a social media manager and I was like, like there's just so many components and things that you need to know. Like you need to know about SEO. You need to know about content. You need to know about ads. You need to know about all of the different components that make up like a brand on socials. But I find it so interesting how you were saying that you were starting in social media management, because that's where I landed. But walk us through, because there's a lot of people that are listening that are like, okay, I've heard about social media. I heard about Facebook ads. I want to utilize Facebook ads to market my brand, but like, what exactly is the difference between a boost post and a Facebook ad? So I kind of want to start there, and then we can kind of get into the gist of, what builds out a really good ad, because a lot of people don't know that there are different components and tiers that go behind a really good ad. So taking us back to what I was saying originally, what's the difference between a boosted post and a Facebook ad?
This is such a good question, because I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions that very small brands come to us with. And I always ask at every intro call I have with a new brand is, have you run ads before? And kind of, what was your experience like? And a lot of them are like, yeah, I've done it. And I'm like, was it a boosted post or was it like within the ad manager? It's very different. Boosted posts, normally you just see like within Instagram will give you an option to boost that post. A lot of times the experience with the brands have after they've boosted a post is they've gotten likes, they've gotten some maybe followers, comments, things of that sort. But their number one thing I always hear is like, I've got no sales out of it. And the problem with that is initially when you're creating a boosted post, it's essentially the objective there. It would be the equivalent of a awareness or a traffic campaign. So it's finding people. Meta is super smart, has a ton of data points on people. It's finding people who are more likely to interact, engage with your page, but not people who are likely to bring that sale.
Yeah.
So within the ads manager, it's completely different. We're targeting only sales.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's always sales. So those are like the major difference is the objective.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. And that's so good because also, I think that one of the things that people are, when you do boost a post, like it is exciting. Like you get all of this new, like fresh eyes, fresh energy on your content, but it's like, what is the goal? Is the goal for you to, grow on socials, or is the goal for you to actually get a sale? Is the goal for you to build your email list, or is the goal for you to have people that are actually buying whatever it is that you're selling, your offer, or signing up for your webinar, or whatever it is that you are trying to push online? So I really love how you broke that down, because I do feel like a lot of people see, oh, I could boost this post, put some money behind it and I got followers. But it's like, are those people are actually going to buy for you, or are they just going to like your content? Because those are totally two different things, Yeah.
It's a different type of person who is going to like a post than who's going to actually put their card down and buy your product. And another thing that's like a big difference is you're not able to learn anything when you boost a post.
Yeah.
You're really invested in your brand and you want ads to be a part of your long-term strategy. And just in general, like the big thing that you get from ads is a ton of data. You can understand what's working, headlines, messaging, angles, all like types of creatives. And through a boosted post, you get none of that. You have one ad and you're saying, show this to more people. You can't compare anything. You have no benchmark to work with. So it's very kind of short-driven mindset around just like, give me more follows.
Have you ever found yourself stuck on what to post or struggling to stay consistent on social media? I've been there, and that's exactly why I created this free guide called 30 Days of Done-For-You Social Media Prompts for Personal Brands. This guide is loaded with prompts to get your gears turning so you can have a gallery of content to create for your brand and never stress about what to post again. And you can grab it right now at cdcreativecoagency.com/content and start creating content that connects without the stress. Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. And so with that being said, for someone that's like, Emma, I'm so interested. Now that I know the difference between a boosted post and a paid ad, I'm ready to take the next step. Like, what is it that I need to do? Or what are the good foundational pieces that I need to have in place before I actually decide to run an ad?
That's a very good question, because there's a lot of different components here. There's like what you should, like almost like a mindset prep, or of like what you should know about your brand and your customer. There's like the technical side. There's the like budget allocation. There's so many different aspects to this. I'd say one is get really clear about what your end goal is. And this kind of segues off of our like boosted post versus ad conversation is like, are you doing this just to build awareness? And what does that mean for you? Are you going to be happy with just likes and follows, or are you in need of sales right now? And if you are going for that sales, do you have a system in place for that? Like, is your website optimized? You can send so many people and so much traffic to your website, but if your conversion rate sucks, then like you can send all the traffic in the world and nothing's going to help.
Yeah.
So kind of just thinking backwards of like, okay, what's your end goal? And then understanding your customer journey and almost working backwards from there and saying, okay, what aspects do I need in place? So that's one big thing. Another thing I would say is like really understand who your customer is and who you're speaking to. Like, I feel like we think we know our customers, but you actually have no idea. So you feel like even have like set up like 5-10 conversations with customers.
Yeah.
And just like ask them, what made you buy? What was like the motivating factor? What made you decide between X product and Y product? What drew you to our company versus others? And having a really clear, that will also help you identify your value prop and like your new selling point, because that's such an important part of like, if you're a jewelry brand, so saturated. But what's going to stop you from like these gold hoops and somebody else's gold hoops?
Yeah.
You need to know that, and you need to be able to communicate that.
That's good. That's good. And I really like how you mentioned, like, you really need to know who your audience is, because I think even like in, my realm of marketing,
Mhm.
when I am typically like meeting a new client and they're like, oh, my ideal customer is a woman who's 35 years old.
Mhm.
Like, even if you feel like that's very niche, like, it's not. It's
Yeah.
so broad because there's so many different women that are 35 years old. Like, what are their buying patterns? Like, where do
Mhm.
they spend a lot of time and energy on socials? Like, what do they like to buy? What does a day in the life look like? What do they invest in? Like, you have to be able to really get down to the nitty gritty to understand your audience before you even step into the whole realm of, okay, now I want to run an ad. Because part of running a really good ad is not only putting out what it is that you're selling, but also understanding the science behind it. Meaning you need to know, like, what type of graphic catches this person's attention,
Mhm.
or what kind of words what kind of words do the person use, or their vocabulary that they, understand, for you to have really good copy. Like, are they more pulled towards graphics versus video? And so you have to really be able to identify who it is that you're speaking to on a, like, super 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 in-depth, um super in-depth level. I'm like, I just drew a blank, but you have to be able to understand them on a deeper level, to really understand, like, how and what components you need to be able to run a really good and a really successful ad.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I really, like you said, like, the buying patterns are like what motivates them
Mm-hmm.
to make that purchase. And I was actually watching a like YouTube podcast today, that was going through how you can almost use Reddit, and it was kind of showing AI tools, but using Reddit to your advantage, because that's where a lot of people are just having conversations about things, issues,
Yeah.
products. And a lot of times, if you can search for, like, let's say you're, I don't know, marketing a shampoo for dandruff, which is like experiences people are having with dandruff and like how they would describe it. So if they're saying
Mm.
their common concerns or itchy or irritated, those are the kinds of words that you want to use in your ads. And if they're
Yeah.
saying things like, you know, there was a common it was a common word that they were using, embarrassing. That is such a strong emotion that people
Mm-hmm.
have, that you need to be able to solve and position your kind of ad in your product as the solution to that
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Yeah.
So that's where I think you can have like a lot of helpful tools that can help you understand what your actual consumer is saying and use their words.
Yeah.
So,
That's so good. That's so good. I kind of want to get into, like, the budget, because I know that that is one of the biggest things. And I know whenever I was even looking into running an ad for a local ad for
mhm.
an event that I was hosting last year, someone was like, "Oh, you have to have a humongous budget to be able to run an ad." And then someone was like, "Oh no, you can run it, with a couple $100. Like, you'll be fine." So, like, is there a specific, like, range or price strategy that people need to have, or budget that people need to have, to really be able to run a successful and efficient ad, especially when they are just starting out, or they're just running their first ad campaign? Like, is there a preferred or recommended budget to start
Mhm.
off with?
No, this is like the question. The question.
I'm
What?
like, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I love it because there's so many ways to answer this. And like
Yeah.
the true answer is there's no one size fits all. Like you really, like I could tell you a number and I'll give you maybe like a range to work with. But at the end of the day, you have to understand what you want of it. And
Mm-hmm.
what I would rather do is almost like work backwards from your goals,
Mm.
and understand, okay, so like, do you have an estimate of what your customer acquisition cost is? And let's say like you can, I don't know, let's say your average order value is $120 and you know that you can, for you to be profitable, you need to acquire a customer at $30. Okay, so based off of that, okay, you want to be prepared to spend, let's say like 900 to 1200 in the first month if you want to acquire, your 30 to 40 customers at that rate. But also
Mm.
you need a strong understanding of what your customer acquisition cost is for that.
Y'all already know I'm all about working smarter and not harder, especially when it comes to marketing your brand. And if you're still relying only on social media to reach your audience, we need to fix that immediately. Social media is cute, but let's be real. The algorithm is unpredictable and your content is probably only reaching a small percentage of your followers. That's why I swear by email marketing, because when I send an email, I know 100% of my subscribers are getting my messages. And the best part, Flowdesk makes it ridiculously easy. You can send beautiful on-brand emails, automate your sequences, and even create landing pages without needing to be tech savvy. And because you're listening, I got you a deal. Use my code SIDEHUSTLE at checkout and you'll get 50% off your Flowdesk subscription for the next 12 months. So if you're ready to stop relying on algorithms and start building a email list that actually converts, try Flowdesk for free. And don't forget to use the code SIDEHUSTLE at checkout for that exclusive 50% off. Yeah, I see. And so based off of your budget is not only solely like, oh, I just came up with a number. I mean, of course, you have to think about your client acquisition cost, but you also have to think about the pricing of whatever it is that you're selling to. Like
100%.
the cost to attain a client for a high ticket offer, like a coaching service, if it's like $1,000, it's going to be a higher price point versus if I'm selling like, a $3 bottle of lotion. Like obviously that's lower ticket. It may not cost as much to attain that client. So basically what you're saying is depending on the price, depending on the client acquisition cost, that is what you should use to determine like the budget for your ad spend.
Yeah, and at the beginning, it's really like, I'd say for most brands starting out, they're not going to know their customer acquisition cost.
Mm-hmm.
So you either estimate or you give a budget to work with of like, okay, I'm testing and I'm learning and I'm really using this for my first few months of just like understanding what's working for me and like getting those initial like data points.
Yeah.
And from there, you'll have better understanding. Okay, on average, it costs me $50 to acquire a customer and I want to be getting X, Y, Z at the end of the day, and then you can work backwards from there. I think a lot of times people forget, or I feel like average order value is something that often gets forgotten or underspoken about in the marketing space of like when it comes to running ads, a great way to just naturally increase your success or your return on investment, or we say ROAS in the ad space. The return on ad spend is by increasing your order value. So that's a good thing just to consider for brands starting out, is like figure out how you can maybe create bundles of your products, or when you're thinking of like what products to push, I would really recommend products that are on the higher side rather than like $5-10 products. It's going to be harder to see a good net return from that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I feel like you've also said a lot of like very expert lingo. Okay. So I want us to break it down a little bit better, because I know there's somebody's like, okay, what are y'all even saying? Like to someone that's in the marketing space, it may make sense, but to someone that's like completely like outside of marketing, has no idea, this is a new world. Like I want them to be able to get something from this. So we originally were talking about client acquisition costs.
Yeah.
And I know that you were mentioning that, typically a lot of people don't know what their, cost is to acquire a client. And so how would someone be able to determine, if like, say for instance, someone's like, okay, I am a consultant, or I'm a business coach. Okay. I'm a business coach and my pricing is, $350 for a month subscription for my coaching calls. You get 3 calls for that month. It's $350. How would I be able to identify what my client acquisition cost is based off of that?
So you're saying if it's more of a service brand and we're talking about things. No, I really appreciate you calling me out, because I can get I'll start talking all the numbers, all this stuff, and I'm like reeling back in.
But I feel like I'm the same way. Like I'll start talking, like marketing jargon, and people are like, what?
What are you saying? No, nobody knows what you're talking about. I'm also just super into the numbers as well. Like I love to like analyze the data, so that's the stuff I really like, geek out about. So
That's
as
so
soon as I
funny.
start talking, I don't stop there. But with your more like service based business, I think you will need to understand like almost put a price to your time at that point because it's
Mm-hmm.
it's very different type of marketing, um,
Mm-hmm.
and understand what you would feel comfortable at and like in order to determine your costs for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then based off of that, you can say like, okay, you want to be within this certain profit margin for you to be healthy and kind of continue this growth.
Right.
Okay, let's say that's like a 50% more profit margin, then you can allocate a budget based off of that. Okay, you want to,
Mm-hmm.
and again, working backwards is a really great way. Like, okay, you want to book, I don't know, 5 calls in a month, 10 calls in a month. I don't know what's a normal amount. We work with a lot of product businesses, so it's a different kind of thinking, but you can understand based off of that. And okay, you can allocate $50 to $100 per booking this call, and you want
Mm.
to book 10 a month, so you're going to need $1,000 budget.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's really like more so a numbers game as far as like figuring out your packages, figuring out your profit margins, how much of that money are you going to be able to spend on trying to obtain that client, and
Mhm.
then depending on what your goal is, say 3, 4, 5 a month, you multiply that by the number that you originally got, and then you should be able to come up with a solid concrete number on where your budget will look like to obtain those clients as far as Facebook goes.
Yeah, no, you like summarize that perfectly. And I think something else, especially for brands that maybe are a little bit slightly further along,
Mm-hmm.
um, is to consider at any point, but like an offer is such a strong part of the marketing space, and especially in the ad space, like having a
Yeah.
strong offer is so important. So the conversations I often have with my clients are, okay, let's say like our average cost per purchase is $50, and we can create this great offer that's going to be a 10%, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
10% off. But because of that offer and because it's enticing people, our cost per purchase drops to, let's say, half of that, $25 instead of that 50. Then it's worth having that offer in place
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
acquire the customer at a lower cost. So really, really nail down your offer, because that's what's going to make the whole process a lot more profitable for you, because you're going to able to convert a lot easier and quicker by that way.
Yeah. And that's really good that's good that you mentioned that, because I think that that's probably like one of the mistakes that you'll see a lot of people make at the beginning. It's like, okay, if I'm going to run an ad, I'm going to run an ad on a promo. So you have to also take into account like,
Yeah.
okay, if you're already discounting that service, but you're still running an ad on that discounted service, like you have to be able to make the numbers make sense in that realm of things.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a really great plug for our profitability calculator. I
Yeah.
know we spoke about that a little bit before, but we've built out a profitability calculator for brands who are looking to start out and understanding like what their budget is, like
Mhm.
what's their expected return, things of that sort. It's so important to know your numbers. Like if
Yeah.
you're running a sale, exactly, like people just like forget that part of the mix. Like
Yeah.
that is going to reduce your profit margins. So I highly recommend any brand running through the numbers before they start out ads and
Yeah.
seeing like what it really takes for it to be sustainable and profitable for them.
No, that's so good. And that was going to bring me into my next question. I was going to ask you about like common mistakes that you see people make whenever they are trying to run ads, especially when they're trying to run ads on their own. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, knowing your numbers is very, very critical, because it's like if you're putting out 80% of the money that you make on an ad, like you're not making any money,
Yeah.
because that remaining 20% is probably going to like your business systems and all the things. So like, is it really worth it? So
Yeah, and that's why also it's tougher. That's why a lot of times it's tougher at a small budget, because
Mhm.
once you consider not just your not just your ad spend but your cost of goods sold, and everything else that goes into it, you need to
Yeah.
make sure that you're profitable in the end. And when you have a larger budget, you're just going to have more revenue that way. So it's easier to work with. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that discourage smaller brands from testing, because I think that's important when you're getting
For
started.
sure. And even if like, what are your thoughts about like even with like brand awareness ads? I mean, even though the goal isn't necessarily like a sell, there may be so just trying to get people to know about their brand, or people that do like, okay, I do want to build my following on socials. Like, do you feel like brand awareness ads are a little, well, I think maybe it's
Let
just
me
me.
hear.
Maybe I'm like, maybe I think this, but
Let's hear.
no, so brand awareness ads versus like actual sales. Like typically brand awareness ads are cheaper, right?
Yes.
Or is that a myth?
So so I'm pretty hard on staying away from those ads.
Mm,
I'm pretty firm on it, just because I think no matter what your budget is, even if you have a small budget, you should still be going for a sales objective.
I see. Especially if you're investing money, you should be able to get something out of it. Something
Because
tangible.
you're going to get the follows, likes, the people to your website regardless. But at least it's the people who are likely to make a sale, even if
Mm,
they're not making that sale now. It's the people have those motivations, rather
yeah.
than the people who are solely motivated to make that follow. And I
Yeah.
know, like, this is 100% the biggest misconception, because brands are so blinded by the vanity metrics and by the follows. They want to grow the page. Like, it's always everybody falls into that trap. They want to grow and they want to see that number increase. But if
Yeah.
that number is not tied to your bottom line and like growing your brand and increasing your sales, then it's you have to really have an honest conversation about with yourself, like, what are your goals and
Yeah.
how do you see it playing out.
No, that's really good. And I'm glad that you have put it in that perspective, because so many people are like, "Oh, well, at least you're getting followers, at least you're building your
Mhm.
community, at least you're doing that." But it's like, if you're not seeing that money back, like think about it. Like if say for instance, if you're putting out, we'll just say $1,000 on a brand awareness ad, but you make no sales that month, you're already at negative 100, but you have, followers, and they may not even buy from you. So it's like you're already in the red. So I really like how you put that perspective, because a lot of people are just like, oh, well, it's worth it. But I'm like, is it really?
Yeah, and again, like, if that's your end goal,
Mm-hmm.
sure. But if that's a goal, like a stepping stone goal, then like you need to really kind of like have that conversation with yourself and
Yeah.
understand, because yeah, you're gonna be disappointed when you see a
Yeah.
zero in your bank account. No.
No, I've been there. So believe me, I know.
You can share your own experience with
Listen, and that's why I tell people, I'm like, listen, one thing I know is that, well, one thing that I can say from my experience is like, just understand how ads work before you actually do it. Like, because you will find yourself spending a lot, like wasting a lot of money. And it's especially when you're at the beginning and, you're still kind of figuring it out. Like, no one has money to waste. Nobody has money to waste. So, like,
not in this economy.
especially not in this economy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like, I personally, like, if it were me and I were considering, I would definitely get with someone like you that specializes in ads and really just kind of talk through the numbers and make it make sense before you put money behind it, because it's so easy to follow the whole shiny object, like, oh, I just want to, but if it's not going to actually result in you making more money back in your business, or really getting someone that's like a really, really good high quality lead, I don't necessarily feel like it's worth the investment. I don't,
Yeah.
personally,
And
from
like,
experience.
no, I agree with you, and I think it's worth really like someone who's honest in their work. And like, I know for myself, a lot of times we have small brands come to us and I'll tell them like, it's not for you right now.
Yeah.
Focus on growing your organic, focus on, you need to make changes to your website, etc. And like, we have partners that we refer people to, and say, okay, you need to work on X, Y, Z, and then come back, and maybe then we can talk about running ads. But at this point, And we had this recently with a brand, and we actually she redid her website and it looks amazing now. And now we're having a conversation. But I knew that if we were running ads to that website, there would be no conversions. So it's just save your dollars, invest in kind of building those foundations, and then run ads when you're ready to grow.
Yeah, I love that. I want to get into how do you recommend people to test and optimize like different copy, visual, like do you typically like to use your own, or do you like to use content that's already been posted that's like performed really well? Like typically, how do you optimize a really good ad to get like the best results?
Ooh, this is good. You asked like good things there. I like that you said it. Do you recommend running things that are kind of worked well in the past? Because that's a really good strategy for brands that are just starting out, and maybe don't have a ton of resources to develop ads. Is use your top performing organic posts. A lot of times those make for really good ads, especially because they're very organic feeling. They don't feel like an ad. Nobody wants to be sold to. And chances are, if it performed well organically, it's likely to perform well as an ad. So that's another tip for anyone listening to this, and for brands that are kind of really just on the starting stages, is use your organic platform as a testing playground for your ads. And then you can start out by just running your top performers. But in terms of really testing, what we do, especially for brands that are a little bit more established, is we isolate different variables. So there's a lot of different ad formats that are trending. We're always talking about them, like testimonial ads, really kind of highlighting a lot of social proof. There's like the us versus them ads, another classic, like a brand comparison where you can highlight your unique selling points. There's like before and afters. Another misconception, people think you can't run them on Meta. You can. You just have to. A lot of times it really only applies to weight loss and kind of specific situations. So you just have to make sure you're kind of wording things well. But kind of understanding what you want to test for and testing different formats. And I would say we're not just running one ad and one format and saying, okay, that worked, that didn't work. You need to run, like I would say, between like 3 to 6 different types of ads in a similar creative format in order to understand whether it actually worked for you or not. Because I see a lot of times brands are very quick to say that worked, this didn't work, that like you need a proper testing framework and enough volume to really understand this worked, this didn't work.
Okay, real quick. If you've been showing up on socials and still not getting the results you want, I want you to listen up because I'm offering free social media audits exclusively for my Side Hustler listeners. If you're not sure if your page is actually attracting the right clients, or if your content feels all over the place, or you just want to make sure that you're on the right track when it comes to building your brand, I got you. These audits are where I go in and I look at your page and I give you the personalized feedback on what's working, what needs to shift, and how to start creating content that actually converts. I'll also drop a few tips and strategies that most people aren't sharing because I want to see you win. And the best part about it, it's free, my friend. So head over to cdcreativecoagency.com/audit and secure your audit today. Yeah, like the A/B testing. So maybe like you're running 2 of the same video, but one has different words on A than B, and then you see which one performs really well. Okay, now that we know that A, with these words work well, let's try to maybe change out the video, see what kind of, but you only change, like you were saying, you only change one variable at a time. You're not changing 50 billion variables at one time, because how can you be able to determine, which one actually works? But that goes back to, the budget. Like, with you having a more flexible budget, you are able to kind of do those A/B testing to figure out what works, what doesn't work. You're basically throwing spaghetti at the wall, essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall to figure out what sticks. And then once you figure out what sticks, you can kind of replicate, but it also just depends on, what it is that you're selling. So I love that. I want to ask you one final question. So I know that you mentioned before that people come to you and they're like, thinking that they're ready to take the next step on running ads. And you're like, I have, like, you basically have a checklist of all of the things that you need to make sure that are in place for that brand before, they even try to put money behind running an ad. So how can someone that's a beginner really take this time to leverage this opportunity and get their foundational things in order? What are those foundational things that need to be in place before they even start to consider running an ad?
This is a really good one. You're killing with the questions. Like, you're killing me. I'd say having some foundation with organic. So if you have zero organic presence and you want to start with ads, you can. It's just going to be like an uphill battle, and it's going to be tough. Next thing I would say is having some sort of email marketing in place, specifically flow set up. You're really great on the email side, so I feel like you can chat more into this. But having some flow set in place, because ads are acting as your acquisition channel, acquiring new customers, which is so important because a lot of brands struggle with that a ton. But in order for that to be super profitable, you should be profitable on the first purchase, but where you're really going to see this kind of become exponentially more profitable is through those repeat purchases. So emails will act as your retention platform and encourage people to purchase again, if you're a service-based brand, to work with you again, to come back. So that's those two channels I would have going, organic and emails. And then look at your conversion rate on your website. Ideally should be say 2 to 3%. See it a lot of, if it's under 1%, I really say work on your conversion rate on your website.
That's good.
Before running ads. And talk to someone who specializes in CRO and conversion rate optimization. I need to correct myself when I throw in a jargon and really explain it out. And get that set up, and then have a good understanding of your brand, your customers, those kind of things that we spoke about earlier. Yeah, those are the main things I would say, to really understand in your customer journey what that looks like. Creative assets, even though there's a ton of new things you can do with. But just making sure overall that you have a solid foundation, and now you should be in the mindset, okay, I'm ready to scale. And that could also involve having the inventory for it. So I say for brands, are you ready if we're taking sales from, maybe you're getting 50 sales a month to we're getting 100, 200, 500. Are you able to scale up your operations, and the inventory and all of that supports the increase? Because if your internal process is going to bust, you're going to be in trouble. So having the proper kind of internal infrastructure set in place as well.
That is so good. Because I honestly, I feel like I haven't even thought about that. You want to run all these ads to get clients, but do you even have the bandwidth? Do you have the team? Do you have the support? Do you have the capacity to even, support all of the new leads and new clients? So that's really good. That is really good.
No, because I think it's, especially from people like us who are always kind of in the marketing space and the digital space, we almost forget the brand's operation side of things.
Yes.
And what it really goes into them to be, selling more product, booking more calls. What is the actual implementation and execution of that look like? And that needs to make sure that it supports your marketing efforts and everything's working together to, grow this seamless, sustainable business that you're actually able to thrive in, and it's going to continue to serve you, and it's not just a quick win.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Because oftentimes I even forget about that. I'm I want to run, and I have all the brilliant ideas. Okay. I have all of the brilliant ideas, but then it always takes one person to be okay, but how many of those can you actually do? And how, and so you have to be realistic. Sometimes we always think more is the best, but is more really best if you don't have the systems in place, if you don't have the capacity to do it? Because then it's wreck ship. It's just bad. It's just all bad. But
so you need two people by your side. You need the visionary who's idea, this. And then you need someone being grounded in reality and saying like, okay, execution, how does this look like?
Yeah.
Okay, like let's prioritize this, not this. You need someone also being the realist, and I think the best teams are a combination of the two.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's amazing. Well, thanks, Emma, for joining me today. This was absolutely amazing. I'm super excited for this episode. But I wanted to give the listeners an opportunity to find out where they can connect with you, where they can reach out to you if they have any questions, where they can access your free resources. So where can our listeners connect with you?
The best place would be through Instagram. So our Instagram is just at Atlas ATLS 28 Inc. And there we have the free resources. We have a profitability calculator for brands looking to understand how to understand their numbers and understand like what it's going to take for them to be profitable, what their net return should be, what their basically understand all their metrics. Won't get into all the numbers too much now. But that resource is linked in our bio. And if anyone wants to connect with me, I've been sharing a ton of content on LinkedIn. So it's just my name, Emma Atlas. So someone can connect with me there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super excited. I'm excited to check out the profitability calculator because I'm like, I have been like kind of toying at the idea of running ads, but I'm like, oh, I'm kind of scared. Not even gonna lie to you, but
I feel like this conversation would just instill fear in somebody and not. But I think you need this going into it to set the proper expectations. I'm really for setting proper expectations. If you have the mindset that like this is a magic money printing machine, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to run it to the ground. You're better off having the systems in place. But I hope it provided just the right balance between. I didn't mean to discourage you or instill fear, but
no, I feel like it's more so like realistic because sometimes we find ourselves like living this unicorn world as an entrepreneur, but it's like you have to be realistic. And one of the things that I've really been trying to hone in on is like be realistic. Like you have to know your numbers, but make it make sense. Like it doesn't make sense to be shelling out all this money every time you get an opportunity when it doesn't make sense logistically. It doesn't make sense financially. And so even if you are a little bit discouraged after this episode, like it's a good discouragement because we're trying to prevent you from wasting your money whenever you are not prepared.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's so many, I think this is why I intentionally harp on it so much because there are so many agencies out there. And this is the big problem with agencies who are just so focused on like just getting the next client. They're like, tell them anything they need to hear in order for them to kind of start running ads. And sometimes you have to have those conversations of like, this isn't for you yet. And you need to work on XYZ before in order for it to really make sense for you.
Yeah.
I think we need more people doing that and not ruining the agency space by lying to these brands.
Absolutely.
And telling them just the nice fluff.
Whatever they want to hear. Yeah, essentially. No, I agree. 10,000%. 10,000%. Well, thanks, Emma, so much for joining us today. This was so great.
This was so fun. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you invited me on. Thank you.
Yes.
And I am excited for you with this podcast. I think this is awesome, and I'm excited to see how it grows and listen to all the other podcasts that are out. So thank you, Carlissa.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Side Hustler Podcast. I hope you're leaving here today feeling inspired and ready to take your next step. If you love this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another side hustler who needs to hear it. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Carly Dorlin. I'd love to hear about your side hustling journey. Remember, you're doing better than you think, and your dreams are so worth it. Until next time, keep hustling, sis. You got this.